Choosing joy is making a conscious decision to claim joy in the moment, no matter what awful thing is happening. It is a conscious decision to claim hope and love and freedom and spirit.
This morning's wisdom reading is a Zen tale entitled The Strawberry. There was once a man who was being chased by a ferocious tiger across a field. At the edge of the field, there was a cliff. In order to escape the jaws of the tiger, the man caught hold of a vine and swung himself over the edge of the cliff. Dangling down, he saw to his dismay there were more tigers on the ground below him. And furthermore, 2 little mice were gnawing at the vine to which he clung. He knew that at any moment he would fall to his death. That's when he noticed a strawberry growing on the cliff wall. Clutching the vine with one hand, he reached over and plucked the strawberry with the other hand and put it in his mouth. He had never before realized how sweet a strawberry could be.
Today's reading is a Zen Buddhist story, which is believed to have originated in Japan in the 7th century. The interesting thing about parables as a teaching tool, these stories do not provide a right or wrong answer to whatever someone might want to know. They are stories that engage with our imagination, and they encourage us to explore and question, embrace doubt, and think about the complicated nature of what it means to be human. Parables encourage critical thinking skills using the brain and our heart that divine light gave us. Now, when we are facing grave difficulties, I know a number of us just want answers about how to respond. It's so much easier just to have someone tell us this is the path that we need to take. Now, there is a reason that conservative fundamentalist religions tend to do so well in attracting adherents when things get really challenging. It's a lot easier to think of the world as black and white than to think about all the gray areas where answers or solutions just don't come easily. Now, a parable is a teaching tool. It is all about the unanswered questions and the gray areas of life. I think that's one thing I enjoy about our Unitarian Universalist tradition. We love the gray areas. That's where we spend most of the time. Now, if we imagine ourselves in this Zen story of the strawberry, we know that certain pain and death is waiting us. And obviously, most of us are going to think, how can someone survive such dire circumstances? And I imagine if I were hanging there on that vine, seeing those little mice gnawing away, probably what I would do is scream for help or start praying really loudly, right? I mean, what else would I do? How many of us would think just to take a few moments to experience the absolute joy of the sweetest strawberry? Now, someone might hear this parable and think, well, that's just about someone being in denial. Man, a lot of people love to live in denial because it makes life a lot easier, doesn't it? Denial is an action where someone chooses to ignore what is taking place. They choose to ignore what is taking place, basically sticking their head in the sand and letting whatever's going to happen around them. It's an action. Choosing joy is also an action. Choosing joy is an action, but it's not denial. Choosing joy is making a conscious decision to claim joy in the moment, no matter what awful thing is happening, to claim joy in that moment. It is a conscious decision to claim hope and love and freedom and spirit. Now, soon after the presidential election of 2024, a little over a year ago, a national UU Zoom meet was held, and I know that a number of you also attended that along with me, as we were trying to deal with the aftermath of the election and knowing that every single one of us would be impacted, and some much more so than others. Now, one of our UU regional staff at the time spoke in the midst of the despair that so many people were feeling. And she said these words I don't think I'll ever forget. "I will not let what has happened here take joy from my life." I thought about that in recent days as I read the statement from Renee Nicole Good's wife in Minneapolis. And in the aftermath of this devastating death and murder, Good's wife talked about the joy that they had shared, the joy they shared in parenting their young son, and so much of the wonderful joy that Renee Nicole Good had brought into this world. No matter what had happened, that joy could not be erased. Joy is a deep act of resistance. If we forgo joy in our lives, then we are letting others or the circumstances around us take control of our lives and of our spirits. Love is at the center of our values as Unitarian Universalists, and love necessarily includes deep joy. I had a friend die a week ago, about noon, and Carla was United Methodist minister, a few years younger than I am, and in the midst of her dying in the recent months and weeks, it has been so heartbreaking to know that her young children in their early 20s would be without their mom for the rest of their lives, and that she would miss out on the rest of their lives, including her daughter's wedding in a few months. The last day I saw Carla was in hospice on Christmas Eve. With everything that disease had done to her body and to her mind, she talked about the great joy she had in her life. She talked about her children. She talked about the joy of friends coming by, the poinsettia I brought her. She talked about the joy of the notes she was receiving and all the many prayers that loved ones were sending to her. She would not let that cancer, which had devastated her body, deprive her of the joy that she felt in that moment. Her joy was a final act of resistance in those last few days. American culture writer Yvette Dion wrote these words: "Joy is a revolutionary force. We need it as much as we need anger, because it is joy that will help keep us in these bodies long enough to enact justice. Joy is not the only thing we need to resist the forces of evil in this world, but it is one of the essential things, and it is essential for love. And love is at the center of who we are. Joy keeps us grounded in love. Love of a sweet strawberry. Love for our children and our friends. Love for a society which honors every person. Love for the beauty which unfolds along the spiritual journey. During these days, as we actively practice resistance, I invite each and every one of us to take at least a few moments every day to claim joy. It might be in some big or small way. It might be the joy of finding a perfect parking space in a really crowded parking lot, right? It might be the joy of hearing a bird sing outside. It might be the joy of time spent with a dear loved one. It might be the joy, the strawberries are not in season, but of a really good chocolate chip cookie, Take a few moments every day to claim joy in your life. And let that joy soak over you and pulse through you, enjoying the sweetness of that moment. May it be so. Blessed be. Amen.